Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Kerfuffle showcase. I am delighted here to have Ben Davis today. Hi, Ben from Property Heads. How are you doing?
Hi, Simon. Very good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Having you back on, of course, because you are obviously you have honoured us with your presence again here before. But we're very keen to get you back on and understand a little bit more about Property Heads in detail. So that's what today's all about. And in fact, the title today is Property Heads, the UK's fastest growing property community, giving agents unfettered access to local home movers to grow their whole business. So that's a nice mouthful there. You're going to have to then break all that down for me because my attention span and attention to detail is no good. But we'll get that out over the course of this interview. Do you want to just give us an overview then, Ben? Just what is Property Heads to people that don't know about you at the moment?
Sure. Okay. So first of all, Simon, it's great to be on and great to have you all to myself this time around.
Not many people say that.
So Property Heads, it's effectively it's a social network dedicated to property. Okay. So imagine Facebook had been built for estate agents. That's what we're trying to achieve with Property Heads. We have an integrated property portal, but it's the portal is it's a fairly big part of what we do, but we're trying to do a lot of stuff around that as well. So the idea of Property Social Network is the consumer, anybody in the UK can come onto Property Heads and they can solve all of their property related issues in one place. That's not saying Property Heads is trying to do everything and take everyone's business. It's actually the opposite. What we're doing is we're putting the consumer in touch with the right local expert. So that can be an agent, but equally it can be a local builder or an electrician. It's really down to everything we do for the consumer is built around their wants and needs. Everything is tailored to them. So we show them, for example, properties we suggest to them. We show them hyper-local planning applications and approvals that might affect them. We give them local property market commentaries. So I think that's an important point to note as well. We know the names and addresses of all our users. All our users have a profile, they have a timeline on the site like they would on Facebook. So we want to make that information available to agents.
So these are anonymized, anonymized people. You've got a really good understanding of who they are. And where did the idea come from, Ben? What was it that you saw that was the current landscape wasn't delivering for agents at the moment?
So we actually had the idea for Property Heads. It came up about 6 years ago. We registered the name 6 years ago. But the technology and indeed the capital on our side wasn't available at that time to build the platform we had imagined. So we saw that, first of all, there was no single place anywhere on the internet where people could go and they could solve all of their property issues in one place. So we looked and tried to work out what we could do to help people in that regard. That led us to obviously looking at property portals. And we thought they did a great job of supplying buyer and tenant leads to agents. But probably what they didn't do so well is help them nurture vendor and landlord leads. And we decided that in order to do that, I mean, nobody's going to select an agent to sell their biggest asset on the click of a button on a portal. There's some nurturing to be done. So we decided you needed a social platform for that. And as we sort of looked further into it, we realized integrating a social network on a portal had a lot of other benefits as well, both to the consumer and the agent. Sorry. So on the consumer side, what it means is the man on the street, instead of just seeing a wall full of property details, they can now click into a property on Property Heads. They can often see a review of that property by the owner, which brings a lot more sort of colour to the individual property page. They can also share the property on the platform with the people that are relevant. So if you want to share it with your other half, if you want to share it with your builder, If you want to share it with your mortgage broker, you can do all that without leaving Property Heads.
So you're tapping you're tapping into one of the main elements of social, that ability to share this stuff around your circles of engagement, basically.
Absolutely, and that has that, you know, that feeds back to benefits for the agent as well. So obviously, if you've just got your properties on a portal and people are coming, they're having a look, that's great. But if you can get those properties shared to a wider audience, that can only be a benefit, and only if you sell or let the property quicker and at a better price.
My perception has always been, Ben, is that the people who look on social media are a very different audience largely to those searching on the portal per se. I think there's a lot of duplication, isn't there? Would it be fair to say that, you know, a lot of people looking on ZBC or Rightmove or on the market, you know, largely speaking, they're bouncing from one to another. I know they try to talk about the difference of audience, but there's no way that it's as big as the difference between social and the portals, is it?
Yeah, no, so I think the portals do have massive overlap in their audience, of course. I think portals obviously talk a lot, or the established portals talk a lot about how much traffic they get, but a lot of the agents we've spoken to recognize that a lot of that traffic is just people coming to have a nose at their neighbor's house, or looking at, you know, property porn that they can't ever hope to buy. So what we do is we try and separate that traffic from the real valuable traffic that agents want. So all users on Property Heads, one of the things we give them on their feed, so they all have a feed like they do on Facebook, we give them their daily dose of property porn. So they don't even have to go looking for it. We'll just put it in their lap. What we also try to do is on the social media side of things, again, there's a big audience there, but by having a social network dedicated to property, what we hope to achieve is to have a social audience that are already warmed up for the agent. They're on Property Heads to talk about property, so they're more receptive to what the agent's got to say. And because of that, because we value the agent's content, because our users value the agent's content, we will give agents 100% organic reach to their audience, which is really, really valuable. So if you're an agent, you go on Facebook, you post about, I don't know, some early bird property. Without boosting that post, maybe 1 or 2% of your connections get to see it. On Property Heads, we'll put it on the feed of every single one of your connections. There's also the argument that because they're there to talk about property, they're much more likely to then share that with their friends on Property Heads than they would on a generic social network.
So that's really, I mean, that's it, because that is a big issue, isn't it, with social, and certainly Facebook, is that people estimate when they share things on Facebook that everyone gets to see it, but of course it's a relatively small demographic, isn't it? So the way you set that up, you are able to ensure, is that because it's almost guaranteeing that they're all getting to see that?
So just to be clear, we give agents 100% organic reach to their network. It's not to you know, the 700,000 users we currently have. So there is an element of you know, the more the agent puts, it's the same with any social network. The more the agent puts in, the higher return they're going to get. If they come onto Property Heads and actively build their network, they become more visible on the site. The more visible they become, obviously, the more engagement they get, the more leads they generate. But we are a property portal at the same time. If the agent just wants to list their properties, respond to incoming inquiries, then they can do that for free.
So let me just ask you, why bolt a portal onto a social network? What was it? Did it just feel like it was a natural evolution of what people wanted?
Yeah, so I mean, some of my own frustrations of using traditional portals is that the listings can be a bit, they lack engagement. They're all a bit samey. So we wanted to introduce some more colour to those, and we thought the way to do that, and at the same time be really useful and informative, was to get the owners on board and get them commenting on their own properties. So to do that, you need a reason to bring them to the platform. They're not going to go to a portal, log in, write a review just for the sake of it. So we needed much more content around the property listings to pull those owners onto the platform. I found that, and it's well documented, I think, in estate agency circles, that the number of responses people get when they make an inquiry about a property through a traditional portal is quite low. Agents, I think, are really busy, obviously, but also sometimes those leads, they're of questionable value. So the agent won't always respond, and they won't always respond in a timely manner. What we wanted was a way for agents and consumers to be able to recognize or demonstrate that they are a good lead. That's why all of our users, they'll all have timelines and profiles on property heads, which is a great benefit to the consumer, because if they're a serious buyer or tenant, they can show that. And they'll get, we hope, much more timely responses from agents as a result.
Excellent. And what benefits does it hold overall for the agents themselves, above the ones you obviously mentioned?
So, I mean, the obvious one is the more data that come with the leads, and I guess the fact that we're free. But I think much more significantly is the fact that we give people, and this is the mouthful of a title to this whole sort of chat, unfettered access to local home movers. We're not putting our members behind a form and just giving agents a phone number and an email. We're saying, look, here's the guy's profile. This is what we know about him. These are all the posts he's made on property heads. You can see he's serious about moving. He's talking about it with his friends. He's engaged with this builder.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is key. So it's the ability to really engage with and influence our audience in a way that I don't think is currently available to agents. So yes, they can try and do that on Facebook, but the reality is people are on Facebook for other reasons. And if you do want to understand more about their property interests, you've got to wade through all their other content to find those nuggets of information.
Yeah.
Whereas we present it all to them up front.
Excellent.
Oh, sorry, Simon, just to complete on that point. So, you know, what are agents doing with these leads from either Facebook or from traditional portals? They're putting them into some kind of CRM, some kind of email list, which I think has a lot of restrictions, especially in a sort of GDPR world. You can't email your entire database about the fact that you can now help them out with mortgages, because you'd fall foul of GDPR rules. But on a social network like Property Heads, you can do that, because those people in your network have signed up to our terms and conditions, which say they want to get all the content from their connections, including agents.
Understand. So it's explicit. They've consented. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can turn you off if you keep boring them with mortgage stuff, but until they block you, yeah, you're free to give them the content.
You just highlighted leads there, and of course, you know, some of the main portals get a little bit sort of targeted by agents. Look, stop telling us how many leads you're sending us, because actually it's all about the quality of the leads that matters. Are you able to, I mean, it sounds like they have to be better leads because you're giving them more background, but are you able to quantify that at all at the moment, or is it literally just the feedback the agents are giving you that they are easier to convert?
So we're really just at the beginning of engaging with our members on the platform. So when people sign up to Property Heads, they have to give us their full address and their full name.
Yeah.
But during the sign up process, we encourage them to tell us about their property interests, whether they're interested in architecture or property investment. We ask them, do you want to connect? Do you want to bring any of your friends on the platform? So we can start seeing sort of what kind of social circle they have. We actually ask all of our members when they sign up, would you like to connect with local agents in your area? So what I said earlier about agents can just sit back and just use it as a property portal, even if they do that, their network will still start to grow slowly, because we are actively trying to encourage engagement between agents and local home movers. In terms of, can I quantify the quality of our leads? Not really. I can give you an example of something we've done just yesterday. We put just a silly question on the feeds of all our individual members. It was just literally 4 photos of 4 different types of kitchen, and just said, click here, tell us which one you prefer, to see the results of what our community are thinking. The level of engagement was ridiculously high, because people are there, they're there to talk about property, they see some nice pictures and they click. So what that means is we now know for a large number of our users whether they prefer a modern style kitchen or a traditional style kitchen. I can't remember the other types we had there. But that data is really valuable. What that means is, if you as an agent, if you have a house, it might be a bit, it might have a fantastic traditional kitchen as its main selling point. At some point in the future, we're going to be able to put that house in front of the people that have told us they like traditional kitchens. It's a small point, we're doing a lot more stuff, but it's really just something we can do.
That really is powerful. I'm guessing though, by the nature of the platform as well, not just in terms of the qualitative end of it, but you're going to a large degree get rid of the tire kickers, aren't you? Because they aren't able to hide behind, anonymous names, emails, and everything else. There, look, they could inquire and it not be, again, they've just got taken in by property porn, but it's far less likely, isn't it?
We believe so, yeah. I mean, I can't point to any statistics today that says, yeah, we've got rid of the tire kickers, all our leads are 100%.
Just let me make them up. I'll make them up for you. Don't worry about it.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's true to say though that people, I think, in the same way they see LinkedIn as an opportunity to showcase why they should get a job or why they should be taken seriously in their career, we think and hope that people will see property heads as, they'll portray themselves as they want to be seen in the property world. So if they want to get those responses from agents, they need to be responsible in how they use the platform. It's the same even with like builders, electricians, all trades are super busy at the moment. If you want to get a good tradesman in to do some work, I think you need to present yourself in the best way possible, and that's what we're seeing. We haven't had so far, I mean, after this call we might get a couple, we haven't had anyone sort of posting silly pictures up on their profile, nothing at all like that. It's all been sort of really professional stuff.
Makes sense. And just so I'm clear, you're entirely free at the moment to agents as well?
Yeah. So what we've said is we're free for agents to list an unlimited number of properties. Free to respond to any inquiries they get through property heads, and it's a free to use social network, and all those things will remain free forever.
Okay, that's a good commitment. Yeah. So, well, my obvious question would be to follow up with it. Come on, where's the commercial model?
Yeah. So we actually, even though we're not taking a penny from any agents today, we think we're going to be profitable by the end of the year, which I think is really sets us out from a lot of other challenger portals.
Yeah.
So there's 5 ways we make money. The main one being what I call the Facebook model. So we've talked a little bit about everybody on Property Heads having a feed. We can target people through on-feed advertising and retargeted advertising in exactly the same way Facebook does. So somebody like B&Q or AO.com or Dulux, they could be an important advertising client for us.
Okay, yeah.
We do sell aggregated, anonymized data about our individual users. Well, that's going to be a revenue stream. We haven't actually done any of that yet. The other 3 revenue streams are product partnerships. So in theory, we could partner up with a mortgage broker and try and sell these people mortgages. The reality is, we think product partnerships will be about 6% of our overall revenues, and it's not something we're actively promoting. We have, or we will have, paid for subscriptions for trades, so i.e. more job leads for plumbers and builders and things like that.
Yeah.
And there will be, this is hopefully the more interesting bit for agents, there will be paid for subscriptions to agents. But that doesn't mean they won't be able to still list their properties for free, respond to inquiries for free, and use the social network for free. The paid subscriptions offer services over and above that.
Yeah, and that's entirely standard, isn't it, Ben? You've made the commitment, as many do. There's that, look, not every business even has a freemium element to it, but you've given that commitment there, so it's entirely right that if you're going to be doing more proactive stuff, there should be there. So just talk us through those different subscriptions there. Is that the gold and platinum we discussed? Yeah,
so at the moment we've called them gold and platinum. The reality is a lot of the workings of the products haven't actually been built yet, so this is something that will probably come in towards the middle of next year.
Yeah.
We're not pushing it at all, but we have had our agents ask us about it. So we have about 150 pre-orders, mostly for the gold, actually, rather than the platinum. And the idea of this product or products when they're built is that we will give agents even more exposure on the social network. We'll give their content more exposure to what we believe are the right people. We'll give them priority for vendor and landlord leads. And remember, we're already providing what we think is a really good platform to nurture those kind of leads anyway. And agents are more than welcome to use the platform to nurture landlords and vendors. But where people come directly to us and say, okay, we're looking to sell, can you show us an agent? The paid subscribers will get priority on that. And going back to the point I had about the kitchens, we think over time we're going to have some really great data on our individual members, and we can use that to put the right properties in front of the right people. Yeah, definitely, Simon. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great week. Cheerio.